Remnant 2 is one of the best games I've played so far in 2023. For the past week, I have tried to beat the game's hardest difficulty, Apocalypse, and was confronted to one issue. My build was simply not adapted to this difficulty. The main issue I encountered was the fact that I had to sacrifice something in order to make it to the end. Either you will go ahead and become a tank unable to deal a decent amount of damage, or you will go full damage and then, well, basically you will die whenever you get sneezed on. And since every single enemy in that difficulty is a threat, unless you're really good, you will end up dying a lot. I have beaten the Apocalypse difficulty twice so far, and I can confidently share with you the most balanced build you could use to also make it through the end. Of course, this build was tested in the highest difficulty. It is Apocalypse certified, but you are free to use it anywhere else since it will slap no matter where you trust me, it slaps. So this is the build, and you want to make sure that when you choosing your classes, you put the Alchemist class on your left and the Medic class on your right. The reason why is simple. Every time you put one class on your left, you will benefit from the Prime perk, which in this case is being able to have 3 additional concoctions buffs active at once, which means that you can go for this one, that one, and that other one at the same time. That's really good, and it's going to be relevant because, as you can see with my traits, I don't go for vigor or stamina anymore because I got more comfortable with the game, and you can still get, most of those advantages here. I mean, whenever you're using concoction, so I would rather just go for something more useful, such as footwork or skin, for example. So yeah, I don't tend to rely on my concoctions, and you shouldn't. I mean, on my traits, especially not vigor. So you shouldn't either. When it comes to the armor, I would say go with whatever you feel comfortable. Right now, I'm using the Archon outfit because I feel like it looks the coolest. But you can go with whatever armor, even the little one. But I just don't go beyond 75 weight. I feel like that's where things start to get a little bit sketchy. So as long as you stay under 75, you should be good. So you can still roll pretty comfortably. So yeah, the armor is not it's not such a big deal. We can see here the total damage reduction is 71. I mean almost 72, which is good. But in Apocalypse, this is nothing. You can still get mauled by the minions, so I wouldn't focus mainly on DR. This is why I'm trying to go with regen, health regen, especially using the generating band, which gives you 3% of your max health per second while the shield is active. And because we chose the healing shield as a skill for the medic, and because the medic also gives you, I'll say 50% more, I think it's 50%. Where is it? Potency? No, that's not the one. Triage. Yeah, 50% hitting. You get 50% more hitting. So let's say, for example, that we very accidentally hurt ourselves using the Meridian. See, we can just pop our ability and boom, we're getting some some health back quite fast. I gotta say, not only are we protected against the next hit because we have a shield active, but also get some health back whenever we have a shield active, which is also why not only do I recommend having a heavy melee weapon equipped, because this game also is very good if you want to play melee. Obviously, it's not going to be relevant against every enemy because you have some flying ones and you have some enemies you have to damage from afar. But Shield Breaker is a great mutator. It's going to give you 4% of max health every time you land a normal melee hit. So up to 40%, it lasts 10 seconds, and you can reset the timer every time you hit an enemy, and whenever the shield is active, no matter where you get the shield from, you're going to be able to heal. This is huge. this is actually very, very nice. I also decided to go with this ring, which in my opinion is a must in any build, because it's going to allow you to get your mode power back in no time, especially if right now you have let's say you using a mod which inflicts elemental damage. You're going to be able to not only recharge the mode power of your equipped weapon but also of your stealth weapon. So as you can see right now, I'm using the Meridian, and it doesn't deal any type of elemental damage. It's mostly for, just explosive damage. But because some bosses can be resistant against elemental damage, it means that you're going to bypass all those crazy, very annoying modifiers and just deal damage the way you want to, which is by going kaput. And kaput is a very reliable way to deal with enemies, and it also has some crazy staggering power. Enemies in, even the normal enemies in Apocalypse, they don't stagger easily, so being able to just go in and stagger people and just kill them really fast is a good way to, I don't know, you just feel kind of comfortable just blowing things up. So don't just stand too close to the thing, because if you do, yeah, I've killed again way more teammates with this with this equipped than bosses. It's another firestorm kind of situation, so don't stay too close to the thing. When it blows up, you're going to die. And when it comes to our other rings, I tried to go for this ring, the Burden of the Destroyer, because it's basically you get more damage. You get an increase of 15% for all damage, but I feel like it's going to affect your overall damage, but not your elemental damage or your mod damage, which is weird. But yeah, I will totally get this ring as well as this ring as any part of any build, because they are really that good. You don't want to sacrifice your DR for damage or your damage for DR. I feel like this ring is overall quite balanced. It's going to give you plenty of everything, and you won't feel like you are making some sacrifices and you can progress, because you don't want fights to take like 2 hours, and you don't want fights to be over in 10 seconds. You want to be able to sustain yourself, and this is exactly what this build is for. And that is something I have to mention, is the fact that this build is quite adaptive. Let's say, for example, you are dealing with empathy, which means that whenever you heal or just use a relic, it's specifically about using a relic, whether you revive a teammate or heal yourself. Whenever you heal through a relic, the boss is going to heal as well. I don't need to tell you why that's annoying, but being able to heal by other means, using your skills, using passive regen, is going to help you bypass and fight back without having to heal and extend unnecessarily the fight and eventually just die. So this build is going to help you not only be on the defensive but also counter those very toxic variations. So yeah, it's quite useful. You feel free to always switch things around. This is not a definitive build, and especially when it comes to the relic and the amulet, I tend to gravitate toward 5 amulets. This one, the Ink of Power, this one because I'm using acid rounds, and also this one, the Golden Ribbon, and lastly the Ravager's Mark, because bleed damage doesn't count as elemental damage, it counts as a silence effect. So that's really good, because you're going to be able to do 20% more damage to bleeding targets. And as you may have spotted with my Chicago type rider, I have Twisted Wounds, which is going to allow me to inflict bleeding almost all the time. So yeah, if you want to go that route, yeah, definitely go for either the Ravager's Mark or the Golden Ribbon. And when it comes to the relic, personally, I feel like for this build, Shielded Heart is the best choice, but you can also go for Tranquil Heart. And again, this one gives us passive health regen over time, and is going to be it's going to be the case all the time. You don't have to pop the relic, and if you use your shield with this thing active, as you can see, we're getting our health back crazy fast. on top of having a shield already, we're getting our health back crazy fast. It's not even funny. And if you do pop the relic and then get, you know, severely injured, you can see we are doing okay. And this is not even its final form because it has no, I think it has no crazy relic fragment equipped. But yeah, basically you go for Tranquil Heart or you go for Shaded Heart and you should be good. And when it comes to the amulet, just switch things around. You should also try to adapt your builds to the bosses you're going to fight. If you see, for example, the boss has elemental resist, you want to go for this and increase the damage of all your explosions. And if you want to take things just a little bit further, you increase your explosive damage by 10%. That way, everything which is, you know, thick skin or all that bullshit, you're going to just ignore those for the most part. So yeah, this is an overall pretty solid build. If you want to take things just a step further, you want to go for the Archon archetype, because this one gives you a 50% damage for your mod, which is crazy good. It's going to include this crazy powerful mod, and also you're going to be able to get your mod power back even faster using the Archon archetype and this ring. And I feel like right now it's easier to get the, you know, the set, because it was very tricky to get before the patch, but I feel like everybody can now rock this crazy solid archetype. So yeah, that's it, that's the build, and I'm going to hover over everything so that you can have a final glance at what I'm doing and how it works. So yeah, basically I'm quite confident this build is going to be useful to you, especially if you try to make your way through Apocalypse, which is very toxic at the moment, you know. And yeah, you should have an easier time trying to defeat especially the minions. I don't understand why the minions are so powerful and why they don't stagger, but hopefully you're able to make it through. And I also encourage you to mix things up and see what works for yourself, because as we already established, the Meridian is a great weapon, but it can't be used whenever the enemy is too close to you or too far away from you, because there is no homing effects whenever you launch those projectiles. So chances are, if the enemy is too far, you won't be able to hit them, and if they're too close, well, if you do hit them, you might end up dying as well. And also, I strongly advise upgrading a heavy melee weapon before you try to go into Apocalypse. It's just a safety measure, but keep this in mind. It only takes one hit for you to get a shield, you know, using your melee attacks, and with that shield you can get all the way to full health in no time, because you have all those passive regen working in the background. So do not sleep on your weapons, and do make sure that you make good use of them, and you use them to actually stagger enemies, especially the minions. The minions get easily staggered whenever you use your melee weapon and your melee weapons, and because you have a shield active, it means you have two layers. I mean, you have your health and you have the shield, and it's really hard for you to go down if you just keep hitting those melee attacks. And yeah, that's basically it. And don't blow yourself up. I can't stress this enough. It's so easy to blow yourself up, so don't do that. Yeah, that's the build. Let me know. I have way more builds on your way, so be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Peace. And hey, don't blow yourself up. Very important too.